Well, it looks like all that negativity surrounding the national decks did not stop Pokémon Sword and Shield, as they've just announced it is the fastest selling Switch game of all time in the UK. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from Switch Force, and I don't think Pokémon Sword and Shield are perfect. I actually have quite a few issues with the game. I wish they would have gone farther. I wish they would have done more. I wish the first few hours weren't so darn easy. But I was always dismayed to see people being so darn negative, and especially so darn nasty to GameFreak. Could they have done more? Should they have done more? Perhaps, but it just seemed all so overblown. And in terms of sales, it was clearly overblown because we now have data that shows Pokémon Sword and Shield is selling like gangbusters. These numbers all come from the UK. I'm sure we'll have US and worldwide numbers soon, but right now we know that the game is selling in gargantuan amounts. They are Dynamaxing the records of Nintendo Switch launches because Pokémon Sword and Shield has toppled Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as the biggest Switch launch ever in the UK. And that's no small feat because Smash Bros. Ultimate is a fantastic game, which toppled previous fantastic games like Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so on and so forth. On the other hand, we'll probably see this record be beat again, and maybe even again, because as there are more Switch consoles out there and Nintendo continues to put tentpole franchises in front of us, it just makes sense that those records would be broken. But nonetheless, it is a great mark for Nintendo, for GameFreak, for these Pokemon games. It boosted Switch sales by 30% on launch week, and surprisingly, they say it's not that Pokemon Sword and Shield Switch Lite that is selling like crazy. It's actually the original Switch, the V2 version, of course, that has the better battery life, that is really moving units. And I'll be curious by the end of the year to see how the Switch Lite and regular Switch numbers compare in Q4. Like how many people for the holidays are buying the $100 cheaper Switch Lite versus the OG Switch. I haven't even seen still the Pokemon, the Zacian Zamazenta Switch Lite. I haven't ever seen it in stores. I ordered mine. I know people have gotten theirs, obviously, from pre-orders and Amazon and whatnot, but I've never physically seen one. So to me, it makes sense that that's not the edition that's selling like hotcakes because I don't see anywhere that it's being sold. Maybe there'll be a restock for the holidays. Who knows? But it's also notable this is the third largest Nintendo game launch in UK history. There have been a lot of Nintendo games, and the current Switch user base is definitely not the largest for any Nintendo console, so that is remarkable. Even if you think that they'll continue to topple their record year after year as big franchises come out, as I mentioned, this one is really impressive. Wii Fit is in second place, Pokemon Sun and Moon is in first place, and now Pokemon Sword and Shield is in third place for the largest, fastest, best, biggest Nintendo game launch in the country's history. That's pretty darn awesome. Now, I'm sure nobody doubted that Pokemon Sword and Shield would be a commercial success. It's kind of inevitable given the power of those Pokemon, but there was more worry, I think, than maybe ever before, just considering how much negativity there was, how this hype cycle was basically a betray cycle, and everyone felt so offended and upset by GameFreak and what they've chosen to do. Now, the game ended up with an 81 on Metacritic, which is pretty good in terms of Switch first-party major tentpole titles. It's actually not that great. It ranks in as the 54th highest rated Switch game of all time, 53 games higher, and many of those, almost all of the first-party titles, are above it. So there is room to grow, there is room to improve. I don't think Gen 8 is the ultimate form of Pokemon. It may be the best it's been yet, but there's still plenty that they can do to improve for another game or for another generation to really cement Pokemon as, hey, it's shifted to console, the game is growing, the game is expanding, and it's delivering a new kind of experience. But that is the catch-22 with Pokemon because they always want to appeal to what they have been while trying to expand into what they could be, and as you see, changes are not met with a whole lot of enthusiasm. Not everybody's out there clapping, so I'm sure GameFreak is very cautious when they look at what they're going to do going forward. But I hope they take solace in the fact that the game is selling insanely well. Hopefully that is a pat on the back for a studio that seemed to be very, very down on themselves leading up to launch. They said morale was at an all-time low, which sucks because at the end of the day, they're trying their best, they're trying to make cool games, and they clearly have a goal and a purpose of making people happy, bringing joy to gamers around the world. So hopefully these sales figures boost their confidence, and hopefully we get the US and worldwide numbers soon. I'm confident that this game has sold insanely well universally, but I'll keep you posted once that data is out there. In the meantime, hopefully GameFreak can learn from this game and continue to make changes that better the product going forward. Maybe one day we'll reach a 90 Metacritic Pokemon game. I think it would be awesome to see something that not only sells insanely well and has incredible commercial success, but also is universally beloved and reviewed very highly. They've got a ways to go, I think, to get to that point, but they're heading in the right direction, I believe. Maybe they should add more Pokemon next time around, but hey, in the meantime, it's a pretty sweet Switch game. Let me know your take on the sales in the comments down below. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and until next time, Switch Force out.